He pointed straight at him in front of the entire boardroom and said, "Yo, grab me a blunt. No filter. That's what you folks do best, right?" Laughter rippled, not because it was funny, but because no one wanted to be the next target. The room sank into a thick, suffocating silence, where complicity and fear traded nods under the table. The dude who'd just been disrespected was about to flip the script in ways no one saw coming. He didn't know his own downfall was already in motion. All he saw was Snoop Dogg, draped in a custom velvet tracksuit. All he assumed was low status. All he offered was disrespect, loud and public. What he didn't realize was who was watching and what Snoop was capable of. This ain't just another music biz tale. This is what happens when arrogance crashes into power and judgment gets schooled by justice. Before you find out who Snoop really is and what he does next, pause and ask yourself, what would you have done in that room? Drop a comment below where you're watching from and what moment already hit you hard. If you believe no one should be judged by their style or swagger, smash that like button, subscribe, and stick around, because trust me, the twist is wild. The penthouse boardroom of Doggystyle Records buzzed with controlled chaos. The quarterly vibe check was always tense producers pacing with Red Bulls, A&R reps flipping through track lists, and junior sound engineers pretending not to sweat as they synced laptops with beat-heavy demos. Glass walls reflected a neon-lit cityscape, casting streaks of purple and gold across the polished obsidian table where the label's loudest egos were taking their seats. Among them, Ricky Blaze already owned the room with the swagger of a dude who thought the world spun to his playlist. Mid-40s, rocking a gaudy chain and a knockoff Gucci jacket, he was the poster child for loudmouth entitlement, a senior marketing director with zero chill, and an ego bigger than his Spotify streams. Ricky leaned against the table's edge, cracking weak jokes with the branding VP and barking orders at his assistant. "Make sure the drinks ain't that watered-down trash this time," he snapped, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We got investors viping today. I want this place lit, not lame." The boardroom door slid open, smooth and silent, and in walked Snoop Dogg. Tall, lean, mid-50s, no tie, just a charcoal velvet tracksuit with a diamond-encrusted D pendant catching the light. Nothing loud about him, no logos screaming wealth, no grand entrance. He carried a sleek tablet and a gold-tipped vape pen. His eyes were sharp, his stride deliberate, but he was Snoop, and in Ricky's eyes, that was all that mattered. Without missing a beat, Ricky pointed at him like he was flagging down a roadie. "Yo, new dude, bar's low on Ciroc. Be a homie and restock it, eh?" Silence hit not shock, but that dangerous stillness where a room tests how far someone's willing to go. Snoop didn't blink. No anger, no surprise. He just leaned back, cool as ever, and said, "Name's Snoop Dogg. I'm here for the label review." Ricky let out a loud, patronizing laugh. "Label review? You sure you ain't lost, man? This floor's for the big dogs, not the backstage crew. You might be 2 elevators too high." A few snickers trailed from those who knew better but picked comfort over guts. Others, like the HR rep by the projector, shifted uncomfortably. Snoop didn't flinch. He glided past Ricky, pulled out a chair at the table's head, and set his tablet down with precision. His vibe said enough, but Ricky wasn't done. "I mean, come on," he went on, waving to the room like a bad MC. "No shade, but if you're here to fetch merch or sweep up, just say so. We've had enough surprises this quarter." Snoop looked up, locking eyes with Ricky, steady as steel. "I'm with the strategic oversight crew," he said. "Check my name on the review deck under global partnerships." The words landed like a slow-burning fuse. Ricky opened his mouth, paused, then scoffed. "Well, we do love our community outreach these days, I guess." No one laughed this time. Eyes dropped to phones, to laptops, to anything but the train wreck unfolding. Snoop didn't bite. He tapped his tablet, scrolled through notes, and vaping like Ricky was already a ghost. That move shook the room more than any clapback could have. By the time the CEO's assistant rolled in to announce a delay, some bored cat's flight got grounded. Ricky had already dismissed Snoop from his radar, thinking he'd checked the new guy. What he didn't know, what no one in that room grasped yet, was that Snoop wasn't just on the crew. He was running the whole damn show, auditing Doggystyle's leadership from the top down. The next Monday, the conference room glowed under LED strips, a chaotic spread of vinyl mock-ups, tour schedules, and overpriced kombucha fueling ambition. It was the first big strategy session since Doggystyle's merger with Chronic Entertainment, and every department head knew the stakes: impress the new oversight crew or get faded out in the next restructure. Snoop rolled in early, as always, rocking a navy tracksuit and a silk scarf, calm as a loaded mic before a sold-out show. He took a seat near the center, flipping open his tablet to a tab labeled Streaming Optimization. No one questioned his spot, not out loud at least. Ricky Blaze strolled in late, acting like it was his stage, tossing fake charisma and a weak joke about Monday hangovers. He shot Snoop a glance, less venom than before. but no more respect. The meeting kicked off under Lena Sparks, the interim COO, who cared more about results than clout. "We're losing streams on cross-platform rollouts," she said, pointing to a hologram chart. "How do we fix it without killing creativity or burning out the sound team?" Voices tossed out half-baked ideas until Snoop cleared his throat and spoke. "If we sync the release drops with algorithm triggers," he said, smooth and precise, "we can cut redundant promo loops by 20%. It's about pushing content upstream, not chasing trends downstream." Heads turned. It was sharp, data-backed, pulled from 3 merged label case studies. Lena raised an eyebrow, intrigued, but before she could respond, Ricky leaned in with a smirk. "Cute," he said, voice dripping with shade, "but this ain't a TED Talk. We need real strategy, not feel-good vibes from, well, outside the main mix." The pause was deliberate, and everyone caught what he didn't say. Snoop didn't react. He nodded once, scribbled something in his notes, unbothered. 2 seats down, a young white associate named Jamal Beats adjusted his cap and raised a hand. "Yo, what if we did push promo upstream? Could tighten pre-drop hype if we—" He cut off, realizing he was remixing Snoop's idea word for word. Ricky's eyes lit up. "Now that's the kind of thinking we need," he declared. "Jamal, I want that in a 1-pager by EOD. Solid instincts." The room froze. No one said it, but everyone saw its same idea, different face. Snoop closed his tablet without a word. Lena glanced at him, then Ricky, then back to the agenda, like she'd swallowed a bad verse. For the rest of the meeting, Snoop only spoke when asked, not because he was dry on ideas, but because he was clocking how deep the game was rigged. After, in the hallway, Jamal caught up to Snoop, awkward. "Yo, I didn't mean to jack your flow," he mumbled, scratching his neck. "Just thought it vipin' right." Snoop hit him with a faint grin. "No stress," he said. "Just make sure your 1-pager locks in upstream syncs, or they'll be freestyling off your flop." Jamal blinked, nodded, and bounced. By noon, the brief was in. By late afternoon, Ricky had forwarded it to the CTO, hyping young Jamal's potential. Snoop wasn't BCC'd. Each day brought new shade to Snoop's cred. After the session where his bars got jacked and whitewashed, a big release strategy meeting was set, one that'd lock in Doggystyle's next album pivot, with Snoop steering a key subcommittee. Lena had shouted him out publicly. "Snoop's vision on platform integration is what we need right now." But the day before, something was off. While most got the prep deck 50 pages of streaming roadmaps, revenue models, and risk charts, Snoop's inbox stayed empty. No file, no brief, nothing. He thought it was a glitch at first, checked his spam, even hit up IT on the low. "You're not on the recipient list for the strategy folder," they said. "Looks like you got skipped." Snoop thanked them, cool as ever, though his pulse ticked up. Later, passing Ricky's office, he saw his name in red on a printed deck sitting open on Ricky's desk. Ricky was gone, probably sipping overpriced whiskey somewhere. Snoop didn't say a word. He went back to his desk, pulled archived data, rebuilt the models from scratch, and worked late, piecing together what he could without the missing pages. He crashed for a few hours, woke up sharp, and walked into that meeting dripping competence. When it was his turn to spit, Ricky jumped in. "Snoop," he said, fake curious. "You got anything ready? Or did you think this was an open mic?" Murmurs slid across the table. Snoop straightened, opened his notes, and dropped his analysis. It was tight, but without the official deck, it missed 3 key hooks. Ricky smirked at every gap. "That's why you glottal read the actual brief, not freestyle off memory," he said, eyes on the room like he was teaching a class. Lena glanced at Snoop, but stayed quiet. The meeting rolled on. The next hit came fast as slack from Ricky. "Yo, Snoop, you're running the point on the Compton collab now. High priority, deliverables due soon. Let's wow the execs." Snoop checked the shared drive and saw the original deadline was further out plenty of time. He replied, acknowledged, and got to work. But later, he overheard 2 project managers saying Ricky had tweaked the master calendar, pulling the Compton deadline up and locking the update to select access. They didn't know Snoop heard, but it clicked Ricky set him up to crash. Snoop stayed silent, went to his desk, and added another entry to a file labeled Obstruction Patterns, Ricky B. He worked past midnight. When the Compton collab dropped, Snoop didn't just deliver early, he included a risk matrix that shut down every potential block before it could pop off. The room went quiet after he presented. Lena looked impressed. "Where'd you get this data?" she asked. Snoop replied, smooth, pulled the old version since the update wasn't shared, built a flexible model to cover changes. Ricky didn't say a word. By the big review, Snoop Dogg was a paradox at Doggystyle, a legend everyone saw but few understood. Some vipin with his cool, others envied it, But cats like Ricky Blaze straight up resented how Snoop outshined without chasing clout. The upcoming board pitch was Snoop's shot to flex the Compton collab's success to the execs, including 2 new Chronic Entertainment partners who valued bars over flash. It should have been his stage. Instead, it turned into a setup. The morning kicked off with interns adjusting mics, assistants syncing visuals, the air thick with espresso and ambition. Snoop rolled in early, rocking a black tracksuit and a subtle platinum pin, a nod to the meeting's weight. He carried no notes, just a single USB with his pitch, locked in, data tight, rehearsed to the second. The room filled, execs trickled in, shaking hands, cracking jokes. Ricky strolled in late, flashing a fake grin, tossing aloud, "Yo, hope someone brought the good kush, cause this strategy talk's gonna need it." Laughter hit the soft spots. He leaned toward the sound tech, whispering something low. No one clocked it, not yet. Snoop was introduced, stepping to the podium with a nod. His voice hit clear at first, laid back but commanding. What we're about to vibe through ain't just a win, it's a blueprint for global drops. Compton wasn't a project. It was a test of culture, hustle, and vision. But seconds in, the mic screeched, popped, then warped, twisting Snoop's voice into a distorted echo. The board squirmed. Someone winced. Ricky leaned back, arms crossed, smirking. "Sorry, y'all," Ricky cut in, loud, "must be a tech glitch. Cheap gear sometimes chokes on, strong flows." The room froze. No one laughed. The implication burned like bad smoke. Snoop paused, his face unreadable. The tech fixed the levels quick, but before Snoop could roll on, Ricky stood. "Real talk," he said, voice just sharp enough to cut. "Who greenlit this slot? I thought Jamal was spitting on Compton." Murmurs spread. Lena looked up, caught off guard. "Snoop led it. Jamal backed him," she said. "That was locked in last week." Ricky shrugged, dramatic. Must have missed the memo. "Just saying, if we're taking up board time, let's make sure it's the right voice, not just the loudest." The jab hit hard. Snoop stepped back, then forward. "If you got a problem with me being here, Ricky," he said, cool as ice, "say it plain." Ricky grinned like he still ran the cipher. "Don't pull the victim card, man. Be grateful you even got a mic." Lena stood, but Snoop spoke first. "Gratitude comes from respect, not scraps," he said, voice level. "And FYI, I didn't take the mic. I built it." Silence hung heavy. One of the Chronic partners, a sharp woman named Zara Moon, glanced at her tablet, then at Ricky. "Mr. Dogg," she said, "keep it rolling." The vibe shifted, but the damage was done. Ricky had played his hand loud. What he didn't know was he'd just put a spotlight on his own flaws. Snoop didn't finish the full pitch, not because he fumbled, but because the board asked for the Compton dossier sent direct, no interruptions. He stepped back, sat down, and took a deep breath. A meeting with Zara from Chronic confirmed what he'd sensed. The top dogs were starting to peep the rot in Doggystyle's chain, and who was feeding it. But even as the tide turned, the system pushed back harder. Snoop got called to a closed-door sit-down with regional director Calvin Stone, a slick cat with a yacht club smile and a 20-year connect with Ricky. Calvin's office overlooked the city's neon pulse, a view that screamed power. He didn't stand when Snoop walked in, just pointed to a chair, his gold cufflinks flashing. "Snoop," he said, voice coated in fake mentorship, "let's talk about that little scene yesterday." Snoop stayed quiet, posture straight, eyes locked. Calvin leaned back. "I saw your pitch. Dope work, no doubt, but this crew runs on unity. You're sharp, but your style's coming off. Disruptive." Snoop blinked slow. "Disruptive how?" Calvin's smile didn't hit his eyes. "You push too hard, challenge without warming the crowd. That energy don't always vibe with the OGs. Maybe ease up, blend in, think long game." Snoop let the silence work, then said, "So the issue ain't the system, it's how I move in it." Calvin chuckled, unbothered. "You get it." The talk ended with no resolution, and Snoop walked out knowing the game wasn't built to play fair. By week's end, things got dirtier. An anonymous email hit internal channels, not to Snoop, but a junior producer forwarded it with a nervous, "Yo, check this." Titled "Real Talk on Merit," it was a shady hit, questioning why someone like Snoop, barely a year in, was running point on big projects. It threw around diversity quotas and token promos, warning Doggystyle's culture was getting watered down. No signature, but the vibe screamed Ricky and hinted at quiet cheerleaders, cats like Calvin who grinned in meetings but schemed after hours. Snoop read it twice, not shook, but to see it clear. The mask had slipped, dog whistles and all. That night he compiled a report, a cold, hard timeline of missed memos, jacked deadlines, microaggressions, and straight-up blocks. Screenshots, email stamps, project logs, he laid it bare. He included the boardroom stunt and a transcript of his Calvin talk, recorded clean on a company phone. He labeled it Culture Audit, code red, and shot it straight to Chronic Entertainment's oversight server. No drama, just facts. Next morning, Cronus' legal team confirmed receipt. Doggystyle's HR, crickets. That same day, Snoop noticed folks who'd been cool now dodged his gaze. Days later, during a metrics review in the studio war room, a glass box overlooking the mixing board Snoop was tapped to present. The agenda was a last-minute mess, naturally Ricky's doing, who always hogged the spotlight while dodging work. Snoop came ready with lean, lethal insights, stream gaps between platforms, tour sync timelines, and data exposing Ricky's outdated promo flows. The charts were clean, color-coded, undeniable. He barely got a word out before Ricky cut in. "Wow," he said, arms crossed, fake amused. "Did you swipe this from someone sharper, or did AI spit it for you?" A few laughed, nervous. Snoop didn't blink. "Numbers come from Doggystyle's own dashboards," he said. "Cool, all checked and stamped." Ricky smirked. "Sure, but context matters. You can spin anything to sound hot, especially if you're trying to blow up." Lena stiffened. Jamal shifted. Even the lead engineer glanced sideways, feeling the heat. No one spoke. Snoop closed his laptop, leaned back, and let the room choke on its silence. "If there's no more questions," he said, "data speaks for itself. No pushback." The meeting died awkward. Outside, as folks scattered, Snoop stayed put, staring at the city, at the billboards climbing from grit, at the hustle everyone clung to. Doggystyle's walls, once loud with ego, now hummed with unease. Meetings got shorter. HR started logging harder. Ricky, still cocky in public, cracked jokes that flopped, snapped quicker, and started fishing about leadership shifts like he felt the ground shake. Then came the company-wide email. Mandatory all-hands meeting, executive auditorium, no agenda, just a place and time. By the day before, rumors flew restructuring, another merger, maybe layoffs. Ricky played it cool but couldn't resist clowning in the break room. "Probably another inclusivity stunt," he said, sipping his fourth latte. "Can't go a quarter without a feel-good box checked." Some laughed, others squirmed, but no one checked him. The morning hit like a loaded track. The auditorium buzzed as 200-plus employees packed in execs up front, managers in the aisles. Snoop slid in quiet, taking a back row seat, solo. No one daps him, no one noticed, exactly how he liked it. The lights dimmed, a spotlight popped on. Lena Sparks hit the stage, flanked by two suits, Chronic Entertainment reps, no question. She spoke, no fluff. "Thanks for rolling through. Today's a game changer for Doggystyle's future. The room locked in. Cronus has been digging deep into our operations. Based on that, we're dropping new leadership to steer this label into a phase of real, accountable growth." Ricky leaned forward, face tight, like he expected his name next. Lena glanced at her notes, then up. "Please welcome the new Global Executive Director, Mr. Snoop Dogg." For a second, no one moved, like the name hit in a tongue. No one studied. Then Snoop stood, calm, regal, dripping untouchable aura. The room turned as he walked to the stage, every step echoing power no one could fathom. Lena stepped back. A Chronic rep daps him. Snoop took the mic, voice smooth, commanding, God level. "Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Chronic, for this trust." He paused, scanning faces not for clout, but for memory, finding every eye that once slid past him. This label's got heat, but heat's nothing without truth about its culture, its cracks, and how it treats folks who don't fit the mold. Up front, Ricky sat petrified, face pale, jaw slack. "I've been listening," Snoop said, "not just to boardroom bars, but to what's spit when folks thought I had no mic. That's been real, educational." A ripple ran through the crowd. Snoop's grin was steel. This ain't just a promotion, it's a remix, one that starts with keeping it 100. Doors swung open when he passed. Whispers cut off, eyes darted away, scared to meet something real. He carried no ego, no grudge, just the calm of a king who'd been slept on long enough and didn't need to flex. Snoop's power wasn't just authority, it was a force that reshaped reality. Execs trembled, systems bent, and lies dissolved in his shadow. Chronic had handed him the keys not to manage, but to rebuild the game from the ground up, with a reach that could sink empires or raise legends on a whim. First thing, Snoop called a closed-door huddle with department heads, HR, and Chronic observers. The room, once for hype reels and empty toasts, was now a war zone. No Red Bulls, no swag, just water, notepads, and truth. Snoop didn't waste bars. He opened with a slide. Culture reset, phase 1, in bold. "We're done propping up systems that reward clowns and punish real ones," he said. "Starting now, we're auditing all promo paths, management moves, and conduct logs 3 years back. Anyone with a pattern of shade, sabotage, or bias, no matter their tenure, gets reviewed for a quick remix or a full fade-out." Silence hit like thunder. Ricky sat at the table's end, pale, gripping a pen like it'd save him. Snoop didn't glance his way. He didn't need to. Lena passed out sealed packets. These, she said, summarize all complaints 3 years, by department, by type. Names are scrubbed, except where patterns point to repeat players. Pages flipped, brows creased. Someone read aloud, half accidental. Blaze R, cited in 7 grievances, race-based shade, deadline games, and promo blocks. Heads spun. Ricky shifted, voice cracking. This is wild, anonymous gripes. Anyone can write anything. That's hearsay. Snoop didn't look up. Hearsay's one time, he said. 7's a verse, Lena added, with slack logs and timestamps verified by outside counsel. Ricky stood, chest puffed, voice shaky. So what? This a purge? I've been here longer than half y'all. Snoop finally met his eyes, not mad, just precise. That tenure gets you a fair exit talk if the facts hold, but you don't get to hide behind loyalty. No one backed Ricky, not even Calvin, whose seat stayed empty. Word was he dipped on emergency leave. Lena laid out the plan. Ethics hotline, mandatory leadership classes, cross-department oversight to kill toxic cliques. By the hour's end, the message was clear. Doggystyle's new era wasn't just talk. Snoop shut his office door after, staring at the city's glow. The same skyline he'd watched as an outsider now bent to his will. By morning, HR waited with stacks of evidence. Ricky Blaze got called to a quiet room where Cronus' compliance officer and Lena sat. No drama, no speeches, just paper slid across, findings laid bare, and a form. Notice of indefinite suspension, pending termination review. Ricky signed, face blank. His badge was dead before the elevator hit the lobby. That day, Snoop sent an email. Invitation to return Doggystyle Equity Vibe. It hit 7 former employees' stars who'd bounced in the last 2 years under shady clouds. One got pushed out of a lead producer role after calling out bias. Another got passed over for promo despite killing it. More got cut with vague performance excuses, though their metrics shone. One by one, they replied some cautious, others hyped. All said yes. The realest moment hit when Snoop said an all-staff forum. Voices that ain't been heard, no execs, no directors, just frontline DJs, interns, sound techs. He booked the biggest studio, ditched name tags, killed the VIP row, and cut the cameras. On stage, he said, I ain't running this, you are. The mic passed free. 3 hours of raw stories poured out favoritism, harassment swept under, dope ideas ignored till a louder face claimed elm. A young mixer spoke, hands shaky, about crying in her whip after a VP said she didn't look like a lead. Another cat told how his track got props, then credit went to someone else. Laughter, tears, long pauses. Snoop sat up front, taking notes, while execs sat silent, ordered to listen, no defense allowed. Ricky was gone, his badge didn't scan. But his shadow lingered, and so did those who'd propped him up. When the forum closed, Snoop didn't preach. He nodded and bounced. Next day, new moves dropped. A reverse mentorship where execs shadowed rookies, anonymous votes for promos, an ethics office outside HR with power to check suits, no questions asked. Chronic sent a statement to shareholders. Doggystyle's restructuring is real. This ain't a rebrand, it's a rebirth. The story leaked to 2 music mags. One headlined, Snoop Dogg turns toxic label into equity anthem. Another said, he was the punchline, now he runs the show. Snoop skipped the interviews. Weeks later, the label went quiet, not fear, but focus. People moved freer, spoke realer. Ideas flowed without gatekeepers. Under Snoop, transparency wasn't a buzzword, it was law. His power wasn't just control. It was a wave that flipped hierarchies, silenced doubters, and rewrote rules with a nod. If he wanted a rival label gone, it had vanished by dawn. If he wanted a new sound to blow up, it had topped charts by dusk. Snoop didn't flex, he didn't need to, but one name stayed off lips. Ricky Blaze. His exit left a gap, not a hole. No one missed him, yet something hung unresolved, like a beat that wouldn't land. Then, months later, an email hit the company inbox. To those I muted, signed Ricky. It was short, raw. He'd spent 90 days listening to folks he'd clowned, systems he'd gamed, truths he'd dodged. He owned his screw-ups, no excuses, and asked for a shot to learn. Snoop read it alone, coffee cold, city humming outside. He didn't reply quick, he didn't need to. The answer was already moving. That afternoon, he hit the 11th floor where the Second Chance Cypher program kicked off a bold move to rehab managers with records who showed real intent to switch up. Some called it soft, others naive, but Snoop believed in redemption, not as a freebie, but a grind. Ricky was the first to sign up. When he walked in, he wasn't the cat who sneered across tables. His vibe was humble, Voice low, presence almost shaky. He sat up front with a blank pad next to two other ex-suits with their own baggage. No special treatment, no old titles, just folks learning to lead right. The program didn't teach budgets or branding. It taught listening, empathy, accountability. Victims spoke, conflicts got real, and participants mentored interns from overlooked crews. The goal wasn't to erase yesterday, it was to face it, own it, keep it from looping. Weeks later, during a session on real leadership, Ricky caught Snoop at a break. No excuses, no front. He just asked, "You think someone can become better than they were if they put in the work?" Snoop eyed him a second, then said, "Not if they trying to be someone else. But if they trying to level up, yeah." That night, Ricky stayed late, penning a trust-building exercise. His first mentorship report came handwritten, deep, signed. Formerly Ricky the boss, now Ricky the student. Doggystyle's story spread not as tea, but as a blueprint. Other labels called "Schools Hit Snoop to Speak" he passed on most. This wasn't about headlines. It was about choices made in the dark. On the 1-year mark of his takeover, Snoop stood before the label, not a savior, but a builder. He said little, let 3 rookies spit about the culture they gained, the bags they'd secured, the vibe they believed in. As the room clapped, Snoop grinned, not because he won, but because they'd all stopped losing. If this remix hit you, smash that like and subscribe for more real stories. Where you viping from and what moment shook you most? Was it Snoop's boardroom glow-up, the shady email, or Ricky's comeback verse? Drop it in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts.